to Career Uprising. I'm your host and professional career coach, Lorraine. Join me as I guide you through an amazing journey of self-discovery and empowerment. If you are looking for work, changing careers, or stuck in a toxic job, then this is the show for you. I offer both practical and spiritual guidance to help you up-level and advance your career. Let's start the uprising. Hey everyone, you are listening to episode 126. You have everything it takes with Lizeth, Perez. Hey everyone, welcome back to another show and another fantastic, exciting client success story and interview I can't wait to bring to you. But first, please just take a moment to give the show a rating and review, however you like to listen, maybe on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show tremendously. I read every review and I would appreciate it so much. It's a great way to give back and say thank you, as I do put my heart and soul, as you guys know, into this show and try to put it out every other Monday for you. So please take a moment to do that now. And I thank you for finding me today. So we have a special show today. And so to set it up for you, I want to tell you guys a short story. On December 19th, 2021, I received an email from a listener of this show. And I've received other emails from listeners in the past, but this one was exceptional for many reasons. This listener, who I had never spoken to, shared with me her personal struggles in trying to launch her career after moving across the globe to a new country, and shared with me how this show had uplifted her during a difficult time in her life and her career. In fact, in searching for career guidance, she came across this show, Career Uprising, and listened to every single episode starting from number 1, which is amazing. And it just touches my heart to hear that. So at 25 years old, Lizeth moved from Colombia to Australia to work on a PhD in economics. And along the way, while navigating a new country, a new language, and trying to launch a new career, she lost her confidence, as many of us do. And she ended up waitressing for about 5 years rather than working in her field. And feeling lost and discouraged, she reached out to me with that email, which I still have and will keep forever. And it truly touched my heart. And she even quoted my show in the email, a couple of lines. So very, very cool. And, but even better than that, after Lizeth and I spoke, she made the commitment and made the investment in herself and enrolled in the career transformation program after we had a call. So fast forward now, about 4 or 5 months later, and a new resume, Lizeth had landed not 1, but 2 job offers. And at that time, wrote me yet another beautiful and just gracious email, thanking me for working with her and helping her to achieve what she thought was unachievable. But at the end of the day, I didn't do the work. She did. She put in the hard work and earned those job offers. And here we are. Lizeth is in the studio today, and she is truly one of the most special clients I have ever worked with, and I mean that. In fact, I recall one recent email exchange that we had during her program when she was choosing between these job offers and needing a little bit of a self-confidence boost. And I closed my email to her by saying, "You have everything it takes." And in all honesty, I was already planning on doing a show with this title. But in that moment, as I wrote that line, I realized this show is hers. It was always hers. So I invited her on to be my guest today to inspire you that you also have everything it takes, just like she did, to achieve your goals. And so now, after listening to every episode from number 1, Lizeth is now a success story herself, and she is my guest today. And that, my friends, is what we call a full circle moment. So I'm going to bring her on to share her story in a way that only she can, to inspire you the way she's inspired me. Welcome to the show, Lizeth.
Hey, Lorraine. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. As you said, I listen to every single episode looking for answers. And I'm very happy and very honored to be here now, knowing that I can be someone's answer now that I found mine.
Oh, well, you are very welcome, my dear. You earned it. And it was just truly amazing to work with you. You know, I've had the pleasure occasionally of working with international clients, but I have to say not a lot. So it was a kind of an exciting challenge for me to work with you, being in a rather unique situation, and just even more gratifying to see you flourish and achieve your goals and end up being a guest on this show. So thank you for being here. So I know I set things up just a little bit with your backstory, but could you tell listeners a little bit more? What was going on in your career, in your life, that you want to share at the time when you came and found me? What was going on, and what kind of blocks or barriers were you feeling?
Well, as you told this story very well. I couldn't have done it better. But personally, I was feeling very unhappy. Like, as you said, that I came to Australia planning on getting a PhD and a completely different life that I ended up having. So I kept making excuses for myself, that I was fine, that I took another path and that was okay. And I kind of tried to convince myself that I was okay. Sometimes it would work and I would feel fine, but then like that effect would finish and I started to feel miserable. Like I wasn't happy. I was in a job that I wanted, that I didn't want it to be. So I would feel bad, and then I would make more excuses for myself, and that was my life for 5 years. And I felt like I let so much time pass that I started to feel that it was getting late for me, that I would never be able to get another job I was able to do. Waitressing or being a shop assistant, and there was nothing else for me in this country. And it's nothing wrong with that, with that kind of jobs, but it wasn't something that I was feeling happy about. And I think the breaking point was one day when I saw myself crying in the bathroom during a break time, and I said, I can't just keep doing this to myself. I need to do something else. I need to move towards I want to be.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And it's, so many people have those moments of kind of despair really in their life or career for whatever reason. And, even if somebody's going through something a little bit different, what it really boils down to, I think, is a transition. You're going through a major transition, and it's easy to get lost and lose your direction along the way as you're trying to do that. And I feel truly like the situation you were in and the challenges you had in moving to a new country, learning a new language and a new culture, and trying to go to school and launch a career at the same time, those are very incredible circumstances. That is not easy to overcome, and that's quite honestly probably one of the most challenging situations that I've worked with a client. And I say that in an empowering way, in a good way. You were really starting life over, as you said, looking for a new life. And that's no small feat. So it's, I really say that in a way that you should feel proud of what you've accomplished so far, at least, and you're going to continue to accomplish more, but you should feel proud because you really, for all the hundreds of clients I've worked with, they all have their own challenges, but truly your situation was one with some challenges and a whole new setting and new culture and language. That should not be understated, and you should feel good about where you are today, given what you had to go through to get there. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah. Of course. Go ahead.
Like those kind of things were the things you told me during our coaching sessions, and they really helped me because that motivation is what helped me to go through my job searching, and that what helped me to accept the last 5 years, the last 6 years in my life, and say I can truly do this. And I not only can do this, I can do more. This is just the starting point. So yeah, you really helped me to go through that. I think that was the first things that we work on. And, I cannot remove the last 5 years of my life. I just need to accept them and be proud of them. So I really work on that, and with your help, of course.
Yes. Well, we worked a lot on that, right? Kind of owning your choices and your experiences and reframing it as something that's just not a mistake or a misstep necessarily, but just part of your journey. And it's just where you were at that time, right? We like you said, we can't go back and redo things. So all we can do is start where we are and just move forward and take ownership for the choices that we made and where we ended up and move forward from there. And you ended up doing exactly that. So when you think about the job search, when you started to get into that process, what was the most challenging part and how did you work through it and overcome? What were you kind of most concerned about in getting a new job?
Everything. Because I didn't believe I was able to. I don't have any experience in this country. I may have something back in Colombia. I had a career. But people is going to ask me about Australia, and what am I going to say? I don't have anything. So I won't be able to do it. That's what my mindset at that time. So I would sit down on my computer and say, I'm going to apply to jobs. And I would read the job posting. And I say, okay, I'm sending the resume. And I would never send it. I started working on it, maybe writing down my name, a few things. And they think, oh, no, this is not good enough. I'm not sending this. And I've never applied. I would never talk to anyone else about that. I tried to keep, I didn't feel confident enough to just tell everybody, I'm looking for a job, I want to do this. And that's another thing that coaching really helped me, because I went from not talking to anyone to talking to everybody I would meet or any of my friends. I'm looking for a job. Do you have any advice for me? And I got really, really great advice for the people around me. So that was a challenge that I overcome. Of course, the resume thing, I completely overcome it, because I went from not being able to send not even one resume out because I didn't feel like it was good enough to send that. Probably in the first week, I sent 45 resumes after I got my new one, because I felt so proud of it. And I thought, oh my God, this sounds amazing. So I just sent it away. So it really helped me to overcome that. And also to be able to address my experience as something positive. That was a challenge for me because I didn't see it that way. And thanks to my coaching sessions, I was able to sell myself different, to say it in a way. So yeah, I faced so many challenges. Every single part of the job search was a challenge.
You're like all of the above, yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, and so you went through the career transformation. So we really went beginning to end, right? We did it all. The resume, the cover letter, the LinkedIn, we did the coaching. You really had the kind of the highest level of support there. And you were making a major transition. And, it's important. We can do so much, right? As coaches and resume writers, we can do a lot, but you have to do the real work. You have to follow the guidance that we give you, and you have to apply for the jobs and go on the interviews. You have to do the dirty work, as I say, right? So you really deserve a lot of credit for getting outside of your comfort zone during this process. And I know one thing you just mentioned is, before you were not talking to anybody, and then I made you go talk to everybody, which sounds familiar. I usually do that, right? I usually am telling clients that you need to start telling people about your search. You need to start setting up calls and getting advice. And so that does get a lot of people outside of their comfort zone. It sounds like it did for you too, but we kind of ripped that Band-Aid off and took care of that. So that's good. That's good. Wonderful.
It's something about you. Yes, of course you said I did the job, but I also want to give credit to all your support, because it was something about having a session with you that I would ended up like, oh my God, yeah, I truly can do this. Because I listened to all your podcasts, like, and I made notes. Like, it wasn't the first time I would listen some of the advice you gave me during the coaching sessions. But when I was by myself, I just didn't have the confidence to do it. You also have a podcast talking about networking. But after hearing that podcast, I knew I had to do that, but I never went, okay, I'm doing it until I started working with you, because like every time I would finish like, yes, I can do this. And now I'm going to talk to everybody. And I went from saying to you, like, I don't have a network. I barely have friends here, to see the people around me. And I say, okay, I have enough. I have enough to start and to get great advice and to, share my story with others, and knowing that I wasn't alone, that I had some kind of support.
Yes. And well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And you do bring up a good point that, it's one thing to hear that free advice, reading an article, listening to a podcast, that has a certain amount of value, but it's a whole nother thing to take it to the next level and sign up and work with a coach and really implement it. And it's harder to do on your own. You need a support system. So that's why I do what I do. So I appreciate you validating that, because that is important, right? We have to take action. Otherwise, it's just words that we're hearing. If we don't act on them, they don't mean anything. So I'm glad to hear that the coaching helped you to really practice what you were reading and what you were hearing, and take action on it, because that's really what enabled you to be successful, is the action that you took. So wonderful. Well, so tell us a little bit about your new job, if you don't mind. I know it's not the dream job, but we got you out of the one step up, right? Out of the waitressing and that kind of thing. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing now and how things are going?
Yeah. So I'm working as a case manager for a workers' compensation company. And it's been great. I've been learning a lot. All my team is new. Like, every member of our team is new. So we are all in the same boat. And the company is great. Like, I feel happy. I feel like I'm in a place where I can learn a lot and I also can grow. It's a big company. So there are opportunities for me to move to another areas if I would like to. So I'm very excited about that. And as you said, it wasn't the job I was planning to get, or the job I was, we made our first resume about. But I think finding that job also was a teaching moment, because it wasn't about what I wanted or what I think I wanted, but it wasn't about what was right for me at this time. And at first, I'm an economist. So at first I say, I have some experience at being an economist. I have to go that way. But it's been 6 years since I haven't done anything related to, but it's okay. Like, we work on that and I believe I could do it. But then after I did my acceptance of the last 5 years, I also reflected on those new skills that I got, on those new experiences and the things I achieved during those 5 years. So I changed a bit the job that I wanted to get first. And the moment I make that change, I changed the job position I wanted to apply for, or the type of job I wanted to apply for. I started to get, like, immediately, the next day, I started to get many calls and interviews. And I got this job. It was probably the following week that I sent the resume. I got called for an interview. And that same day, they called me for references. And that's it. And I got the job. It was so fast that I just couldn't believe that. But it was making that shift. As soon as I let go, as soon as I accept my past, so I used to call it my gap in my resume. So as soon as I accept that gap and I started to own it, I find a way. and I got this job. So it might not be the one I applied at first, that I believe at some point I would get there if I really want to. It was the right job for me. And I'm really happy and proud of have this job as a case manager.
Oh, that's so good. And so I really think that the lesson there is sometimes we have to be open and be flexible, right? Sometimes what we think we want or need isn't right for us at that moment. And this could very well be a stepping stone into something bigger and greater. And maybe it will lead you back into the economic path somehow. Maybe it won't. But at the end of the day, as long as we're happy and learning and growing, that is what really matters. I think that's interesting that as soon as you changed your target a little bit, everything fell into place and you found what you needed, at least at that moment, right? Sometimes it's just take it one job at a time and then we'll figure it out from there. So I'd love to know, what did you learn about yourself in this process?
Oh, many things, but if I have to pick one, maybe learning to identify what was holding me back, because I was getting attached to too many things. For example, even with my jobs as a waitress and as a shop assistant, like I didn't want to be there, but I also didn't want to leave my jobs. Like I did left my job as a shop assistant and I did something else in the middle, and then I decided to be unemployed to have enough time to do my job search. But I still was doing my waitressing job during the weekends. And I started to notice that I was getting so attached to that job that I somehow was looking for another job, but hoping I could never leave the one I already have. It was something weird. But I noticed that after working with you, like in one of our sessions, and I said, like, I think this job is holding me back. I still see myself as a waitress, and I need to start seeing myself as what I want to be, not as something that I don't feel confident about. So yeah, identify those little things that were holding me back and changing my mindset towards. And you said this in one of your podcasts, and I'm trying to avoid quoting yourself, but like,
you can. I love
it. But in one of your podcasts, you said like it's not about running away from something, but
running towards something. Yes.
Something.
Yes.
So learning that. It was very important for me, because it wasn't just leaving my job. So leaving this time at some point I consider a mistake, but it wasn't where I want to be and how I'm getting there, and what are the things that I should let go because they're not giving me anything positive to move towards I want to be. So.
Yes, thank you for that. Yes, I do say that a lot, that it's, can't just be running away from something. You have to be running towards something. Otherwise, we're going to be running forever and we have no target. So what I was getting at with you that I feel like you did successfully was shedding this story that you had, or this image of you as just being a waitress for the last 5 years, and stop focusing on who you were and start focusing on who you're becoming. And who you're becoming is somebody more than that, who is, first of all, their identity is not tied up in their job, right? Well, a lot of us are very guilty of that. But also, you do need to start identifying yourself as, an economist or a data analyst or whatever it is you want to be. That starts as a mindset shift. And then once the mindset is done, then we can start taking action towards that goal in real life. So I do remember that from our coaching, and you did let go of that waitressing job because it was kind of, in a literal and metaphoric way, kind of holding you back a little bit. And I think the floodgates opened when you did that and everything started to change. So that's wonderful. So my last question for you, my dear, is what advice would you give, now that you're on the other side, what advice would you give to somebody else out there who is feeling lost or stuck or in a similar place that you were a couple of months ago?
To stop making excuses. Yeah, because it's very easy to try to convince ourselves that we're okay when we're not. And and it's not long lasting. And I went for this roller coaster of being good and then being terrible and then be excited again. And it's something that is not healthy when you know you can do something to change that. Because, of course, we can be happy and sad, and, that's normal in everyone's life. But having those big changes is when you can avoid it. I think that would be the point. That just stop making excuses.
Stop making excuses.
and take real action, because I also spend so much time just trying to do things, Like and maybe that one of the excuses I made up for myself now that I think about it, like, oh no, but I'm working on it. I'm doing this. Every other weekend I look for jobs or whatever, but I never apply. So yeah, I'm taking action according to me in some way. But the truth is that I'm not taking real action. I'm just making a story up to make me feel like I'm doing it. So yeah.
I love that. Great. Well said. Stop making excuses and start taking action. That pretty much sums it up. I love that. And you can feel good about yourself that you definitely did that. And now you are on the other side. And, absolutely. And I'm so proud of you for what you accomplished. And you're always going to be a part of, the Career Uprising family and a member of my network without a doubt. So I just am looking forward to seeing where you continue to go in the future. And I thank you for being here. And I think for where you are in Australia, it's early in the morning, right? You have to get to work. Don't you? Are you on your way to work?
So I woke up a bit earlier to be able to do this, and now I haven't taken a shower just yet, so I'm going to take a shower and then head out.
Now you got to get dressed and go to work. But had to sneak a little podcast interview in there first when you first woke up. I know that time difference is really something else. So thank you so much, sweetie, for everything, for finding me, for sending me those wonderful emails that I still have, for showing up, doing the work, for doing this podcast. Just thank you for being who you are, because you absolutely did have everything that it takes, and you still do. And everyone out there listening now does as well. We just have to, as you said, stop making excuses and start taking action. So thank you so much, Lizeth, for being here and bravely sharing your story. I appreciate it so much. And to my listeners, for more shows like this, the easiest way to listen is on my website at careeruprising.com/podcast. I will be back in about 2 weeks. And after this, believe it or not, you guys, I have 2 more amazing client success stories. I just did one with Brian McMullen. Today we had Lizeth. And then I've got Joel Manson and Luigi Fenzo coming, and you are going to want to hear their stories. We've got a whole string of Career Uprising success stories and client interviews that are coming, and I'm so excited. I've never had this many in a row. So just listen for those, and thank you again, Lizeth, for everything. All right, take care, guys. I'll be back soon. That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard today, please consider giving the show a positive review on iTunes. It would mean a lot to me, and it would help to spread the word so that others can learn about the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and I can't wait to connect with you again next time on Career Uprising.
This show was brought to you by InflowRadio.com, the best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.